Did you know your credit card points and miles can lose value to inflation? Credit card companies often reduce the redemption value of your points and miles. Now, imagine a credit card with rewards that can grow in value. With the Gemini credit card, you can earn Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptos instantly with no annual fee. Every swipe at the store or gas pump earns you instant rewards deposited straight to your account. Plus, sign up now for a $200 Bitcoin bonus to kickstart your rewards. Visit Gemini.com/card today. Check out the link in the description for more information on rates and fees. Again, if you're looking to invest in Bitcoin but don't know where to start, the Gemini credit card makes it easy.
Check it out now.
All right, week 7, Beating the Book MegaPod. Are we live on Twitter? We're live on Twitter, right? Yes? No? Yes? All right, let's do it. Gill Alexander, not in our swanky Sirius XM studios at the Win. We knew before the season started that there would be 2 weeks in October where we would be evicted. So this is part of those 2 weeks. We'll be back at the Win studios in 3 weeks. And so we're taking advantage of doing them early for week number 7, our normal pillars of the show, staples of the show, from his mom's cork attic in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, current MegaPod record leader, with emphasis on current, Todd Wishnev, everybody, at T Wishnev on Twitter. Toddy, congratulations so far.
It's good to see everyone, but in honor of our guest, I'm playing a little song. It's called I'm Better Than Gilly, I'm Better Than Willie Too. I'm on my way to my 3rd out of 4 MegaPod wins, and this song is for our guest. You know this song if you like winning football in Oregon. If not, go to hell. It's Indiana University.
I don't know why this happened. I don't know why the show.
I tried to give the little IU, but my camera cuts off there a little bit. So thank you very much, Todd. Indiana, our Indiana, kicks off the MegaPod this week.
That, by the way, is the voice of Wes Reynolds. You may know him for his golf picks, primarily at VSiN, but the man knows his football as well. He knows many sports. Wes, thanks for being here again. And you were at the Indiana game this past weekend, yes?
I was at Autzen Stadium in Eugene to see arguably the biggest win in Indiana regular season history for football. That's a very low bar, especially over the last 40 years. But yeah, awesome experience. By the way, the people at Oregon were super cool. Go there to a game if you can. Go see a game at Autzen Stadium. Go walk the campus in Eugene. Beautiful campus, and it's even more beautiful when you come out with a big win on the road. And now Indiana football, national title contender.
Yes.
We are in a brave new world. Gil, you texted me after the game, and I believe my text back to you was, holy shit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it was, because, you know, and it wasn't, I don't know if I was surprised. It was just like, we've never do that. You know, when they give up the pick 6, it's like, okay, here we go. We're just waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it didn't drop. Indiana responds with the score and takes a win on the road. So now it's all set up. Now just don't stumble over the teams you should beat.
Yeah, I mean, I bet them this week 10-1 to win it all, man. And I just don't feel like there's any team that's markedly better than them. I think Signetti builds a team from inside out like Harbaugh does. And I think they're only 10-1 because we're not used to seeing that name as a contender, right?
There's still that PTSD there, even from fans like me that have followed this program my whole life. It's like, oh man, when's the other shoe going to drop? Like something bad's going to happen. Maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe we need to get rid of that PTSD and just accept Indiana football as the new overlords of college football, or at least one of them. Certainly, it's like in The Simpsons where Kent Brockman goes, I, for one, welcome our insect overlords. And maybe that's what Indiana is right now. But yeah, excited. Very excited to be number 3 in the country. And it's all setting up for a potential showdown with the Buckeyes in my hometown of Indianapolis in that Big Ten title game.
Yeah, which may not mean anything as far as the playoffs concerned, right? When all is said and done, right? Whoever loses still gets
just
in.
for seeding.
Yep.
Just for seeding, because they don't do the automatic seeding anymore, by the way, where you have to be a conference champion to get one of those top 4 seeds. Now they take the best 4 teams, and I think Indiana's one of them as we stand today.
So you mean we don't have to endure like Boise State or who was it last year that got the big seeds?
We did have we had SMU against Penn State.
Yeah, that went well.
And then Boise in the second round against Penn State, and Boise got the bye. So I don't believe that we have that this year. But a lot of football to be played, and it's college football, so you always expect the unexpected.
Will Hill, also pillar of the show, not the current MegaPod leader, at not the Will Hill on Twitter. Should have bet more podcast. Who's your guest this week, Will?
We had Jeff Schwartz, formerly of the MegaPod, and I think Todd remembers Jeff, and had Ian McMillan from Sports Illustrated, and then Friday TBD. So yeah, it's been fun. Been fun doing it.
Where do we stand? I know it's a joke you just made, but where do we stand on Jeff Schwartz? Did the MegaPod audience ban Jeff because he didn't like Todd? Is that what happened?
Are you asking me? I don't know. I listened to that episode. It seemed fine to me.
Yeah.
Jeff is one of the nicer guys you'll ever meet. I know him from doing the show together, Fox, and become friends with him. So I'm unaware of this ban that you
Todd, how did you read the situation?
I'm unaware of it as well. I'm friendly to everyone, and I get castigated for things that don't ever happen. And, I'm just the redheaded stepchild. What can I tell you?
That's it. Castigated for things that never happened.
Add Jeff, by the way, to one of the very gracious Oregon Ducks. Of course, he played football up there in Autzen and Eugene, and was very congratulatory toward Indiana and said, Indiana was the better team. So Jeff was one of the many classy Ducks that I encountered over the last few days.
It's good to hear that, by the way, in this day and age where fans just go ballistic on each other for no reason. That's always good.
I enjoy Jeff's little Twitter videos where he points out the offensive lineman who did the right or wrong thing. That's always entertaining.
Oh, Jeff's videos. He has good breakdowns like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like them.
All right. Todd, court stenographer, show stenographer. What are the records, sir?
Well, I'm going to tell you that my friend Gilly had an outstanding 2-1 record last week with his Steelers and Rams pick. His Detroit Lions were not as fortunate. He went to 8-10. Teaser loses. Everyone lost the teaser because the Eagles lost. I don't know how they lost, but they lost. So he goes to 2-4 on teasers. Willie goes to a solid 1-2 with his Rams pick, his Eagles under, and his Niners. So he goes to 4-14 and 4-2 on teasers. He still leads the league with teasers, even though he lost. I went 2-1 as well to keep my lead of 2.5 games over my friend Gill, and that's 3 in the loss column, just in case you were wondering. 2-1 with an under in the Lions. The Commandos were the only team that let me down on a fumble, and the Atlanta Falcons plus 4.5. And then our guest, Mr. Joe Pita, who even sponsored his picks, which we were very enthused about. Unfortunately, they went 0-3, so he falls to 9-9 in the guest chair, and the teasers at 3-3. I am 1-5 on the teasers on the loss with the Eagles as well. So that's where we are, standing today a 2.5 game lead.
Thank you, sir. Joe was not happy with his 0-3, by the way. He sends a sincere apologies for that. Dumbo of the week, real quick. I don't think there were many candidates this week. Can we all agree that it's Aaron Glenn at the end of the first half in that international series game against the Broncos? The Jets had a double dip chance, which is hilarious just to even say that because they got to do a single dip before they can even get to a double dip. But they got first down, 4th and 1 at their own 37. 4th and 1 at their own 37. They went in punt formation. And the Broncos were all over it, by the way. They saw that a fake was coming. A fake did come, and they barely got the yard, even though the Broncos knew it was coming. And so Breece Hall barely got the yard. So the Jets stop the clock with 1 minute left. They have one timeout. They run the ball, and then they let the clock go, and then Fields gets sacked with 37 seconds left. Kurt Warner's confused beyond belief. Why didn't the Jets let Denver call timeout, he says, which really, I don't know if that made complete sense. But then a 6-yard pass, and it's 4th and 1 at their own 47. Remember, they just went for it on 4th down. So this is 10 yards advanced, 4th and 1 at their own 47 with 32 seconds left, and Aaron Glenn just lets the clock run out. I don't know. Just let it. He's like, no, that's good. And Garrett Wilson is just screaming at him. I'm like, there's your Dumbo of the week. I don't think there was anything else they compared to that. Was there this week?
There was an incident in Indianapolis, and I'm not going to go too far here because I don't want to pick on poor Anthony Richardson, and he was just one of two, by the way. The Colts in pregame warmups had 2 injuries. One was Anthony Richardson, who was working out like with a stretch band and hurt his orbital bone. Just hit him right in the eye, And so he has to miss the game. And now the Colts, by the way, had to sign a backup quarterback this week to go ahead and do that. And then they also have Riley Leonard. And then you had a collision. Trevarius Ward, former corner of the 49ers, and tight end Drew Ogletree collided bizarrely. They were doing separate drills and collided on the field. And Ward had to miss the game, and Ogletree missed with a concussion. So you had two different pregame warm-up incidents with the Indianapolis Colts, but yet they did hang on for victory over Arizona last week.
You know, the Anthony Richardson thing, I'm surprised that doesn't happen more often. You ever use those things? Like if you let go, if it slips, like he might be lucky just to have broken his orbital bone. You know what I mean? Like he could have lost an eye, for God's sakes, as your parents might say to you. But like I'm surprised that doesn't happen more often. So
the only other one I thought we should mention is the tightrope you walk when betting on the Atlanta Falcons. Now I had the Falcons plus 4.5 on the Mega. It didn't matter because Bijan was going to go crazy, but Raheem Morris scares the bejesus out of me. Yeah. He is never endingly trying or barely not doing crazy things with the clock, with the play calls. I feel like this is a team that is extremely talented. You talked about it on ANG about the defense being sneaky, much sneaky goodier than we thought they were.
Yes.
And they are sneaky goodier. The first smell we got about this was the Minnesota game where they shut down, was it the Bears or Minnesota? I forget. It was 22-6. Minnesota game where they just completely shut down that team. And, the weird game in Carolina. But other than that, the defense has been really pretty good. But I just tell you, when you have Atlanta and Raheem's there, it just scares the bejesus out of you if it's a close game.
Yeah, and what you were referring to, Todd, is twofold. One, it was 21-7, and 4th and 3 at the Buffalo 33. They're up 14, and they decide, we couldn't use 3 more points. We'll just go for it. And Penix was incomplete for Casey Washington.
Oh yeah, that was the one, right?
So
the other one.
Yeah, so they left 3 points on the board there. And then, of course, late in the first half, this is the one that people will remember, Buffalo with 15 seconds left, right? Because Josh Allen could do anything. They're like, 1st and 10 on our own 31. Sure, let's go for it. And Allen throws a pick, right? D. Alford picks it off. So Atlanta gets the ball at the Buffalo 49 with 10 seconds left. They go 9 yards to London. And with 6 seconds left at the 40, they decide instead of a quick out and a field goal, they're going to go deep. And at first, right, people were going crazy. At first, they thought it was a touchdown to London, but then it was reversed correctly on the replay, and the clock expired. They ended up with no points there either.
Thank you for reminding me, Gilly. We talked about this on the thread. It was 2 3-pointers that they messed up. And then there was a pass late in the game when they were up 7, and all they had to do was kick a field goal to end the game, and he threw what should have been a pick and possibly could have been a pick 6 over the middle. The guy dropped the ball. But those are the two, and then that play also is like, it's scary. That Raheem guy scares me.
Todd, you have an in-game? You need me to prompt you on the in-game? Because I actually have a note on it.
Sure. I have one in-game I want to talk about, and that is the Kansas City Chiefers against the Lions. I had a little money line parlay, something I like to in-game. It's almost like creating your own in-game teaser in a sense. And I took the Bucks money line when they were probably about minus 250-ish, and I put them with the Lions plus 8.5 in the late game, thinking the Lions could, hang around. So I won the Bucks side. Now I have this second leg, and we talked about this also on ANG or about how, you can maneuver with a second leg of a 2-leg money line parlay, which Fezzik hates so much. But anyways, I have the Lions plus 8.5. The Chiefs are down 10-6, and the Chiefs are about to get a 2-for-0, meaning they're about to get the last possession of the first half and the first possession of the second half. By the way, the books are getting much, much better at, pricing this accurately, as they have it now at Kansas City's losing 10-6, but they're minus 125 in the game. In a game they were minus 2.5 pregame. So the Chiefs they're basically pricing in that 2-for-0 possessions, meaning Kansas City getting the possession at the end of the second half and the first in the second half. Well, guess what happens? I said, I'm taking Kansas City to go for the middle, take Kansas City money line, and then I have the Lions plus 8.5 as my second leg, and I have a huge 8.5 point middle. It ended up being the right thing for a change with me because I took the Chiefs there, and that saved me from losing my parlay because the Lions ended up losing by 13. So I ended up going for an 8.5 point middle, and it turned out to be the right thing. But 2 points that I'm really trying to pound home. Number one, the books are much smarter in pricing the 2-for-0 when they're making Kansas City minus 125 down 10-6. And second point is, with that second leg of a parlay, you can do a lot of things with it and protect yourself. And in this case, I was smart to do the protecting because I protected that Lions plus 8.5 because they ended up losing 30-17. Anyways, it's just fuel for thought.
I like the fuel for thought because these are the things we're really betting on a nightly basis, right? Like the pre-flop stuff is just put it in and wait, but the in-game stuff is obviously the active stuff that we're going through in all different sports. Pro, college football, baseball, everything.
I want to jump in because you hinted at it, Fez. You're like, oh, Fez hates these, and Fez does hate these. Starbucks menu, parlays. I mean, the list of things Fez hates
F1,
is
F1.
Those are two. F1. F1's probably the top. He would say to you a couple things. You're paying juice on all these bets, on all these legs.
Willie, he doesn't want the WNBA to have a parade on Friday because it was costing 15 minutes. That's another one. Go ahead.
The parade is literally from like Trop, not even to me halfway. It's one block.
It absolutely. It's to the arena, to the little plaza there, to Toshiba Plaza. So that's the parade here in Las Vegas.
But I will represent Fez, Todd, and I know what he would ask you. He would say, first off, you're paying juice on all of these bets. That's not a good thing. And he would also say, if you like the first leg, if you like Tampa on the money line, why don't you just bet Tampa on the money line? What would your rebuttal to that be?
My rebuttal would be they are two bets, because if I'm going to bet plus 8.5 later on the Lions, right? What is a parlay really? A parlay is just a bet, and then you roll your bet and your win into a second bet. So now remember, me and Gilly talk about this all the time. He's correct in saying that you're not going to get the best price on both legs. He's correct about that. But in the alternate line in-game marketplace, it's who knows what the best line is, because that bet was made when the Bucks on a Bucks money line on an in-game. So you're right. I could have, if he said to me, I could have bet that straight. Sure. Okay, fine. I bet the Bucks money line straight. Now I decided to roll my winnings. And he would say, well, you're bet sizing too wrong. The bet sizing is a bad argument because that all comes out in the wash. Because you're going to have times where you have too big of a bet and times where you have a small bet when you go 0-2 on both legs. So I desecrate his second argument of the bet sizing, but I give him credit on the first argument.
And you think Starbucks does have decent food or no?
I think the feta spinach egg white wrap is excellent. Okay,
all bad.
I like that. I also like the spicy falafel wrap. And once in a while, I like to get those little egg bites. So I don't understand. Has he tried the banana bread? Has he tried the cheese Danish? I don't know. No, I'll agree. Again, he's half right as he is about everything. The pricing is ridiculous. But some of those items are delicious. Wes, can you back me up?
They don't mess the breads up. Like the banana breads and the pumpkin breads, that stuff is fine. But I got a cut for Will here because you have one of those like sausage and egg sandwiches. It's like shoe leather, man.
No, that one I'll hear.
It is absolute shoe leather.
Wes, did you hear me bring up the sausage sandwich? I did not. Okay?
And Wes, they might come to like 700 degrees too, and you can't even touch the thing.
Oh, man.
That's the thing.
Yes.
The spinach, I will disagree with you on the spinach feta one. The spinach feta one is good on paper, but it's so hot
that's a rookie move. That's typical rookie Gilly move. You cannot eat the spinach egg white wrap directly out of the oven. That's why you buy yourself a little cheese stick or a little fruit wrap thing they have there. Eat those first, allow your feta cheese egg white to cool slightly, and then you don't damage your mouth. See, that's rookie versus a veteran.
Just do the McDonald's 2 for $5 and get one McMuffin and one McGriddle and be done with it. And put your Monopoly pieces in the app, please.
Well said. All right, we're ready for best bets. Let us do this.
No, Thursday night.
Thursday night. But that's how we get into Thursday night. Does anybody have as a best bet anything with a Thursday night football game?
I don't.
I do not either. Wes does not. Todd, do you have anything in Thursday night?
I have a lean, but not a bet.
What's your lean, so we can just sort of talk about that game for a second?
I'll lean to the Cincinnati Bengals going against the Pittsburgh Steelers in that. Yin's guys are going down on the road, and Yin's guys think you're going to just keep winning ball games and just covering spreads after that you do it down in Acrisure with those parking prices. I think now they got Joe Flacco down there. That's a legitimate 55-year-old quarterback, and I think he can hang around in this ball game. He can hang around. I don't know if you've ever been down there to hang around, but I think he can hang around.
Yeah, I don't hate that lane.
Yeah,
not an
that's-
official pick from Todd. Not an official.
I don't either. And look, Joe Flacco had a short week of practice last week at Green Bay, and they end up hanging in by and large, never a chance to win. So I don't think that'll hurt him here necessarily against Pittsburgh, who I think has been a little bit fortunate, shall we say, early in the season.
A lot.
Team Rankings has this stat. I believe they've recovered 83% of possible fumbles. They're the number one in terms of fumble luck rankings. So I thought about going with Cincy, but I did pass. I will say this too, and I've been giving out Steelers division the past couple weeks at good prices and Ravens to miss, like plus 375. If you think that plays out, I usually don't like to double dip in these markets, and I'm going to lose on Gannon Coach of the Year. Tomlin at 16-1. He's never won before. Surprise division winner. I know you have Vrabel and Steichen to compete with, but I don't think Tomlin at 16-1 Coach of the Year is the worst bet. But I'd pass the game.
On the radio side this morning, we did adjusted season win totals,
Yeah,
and
it's
I
tough.
liked way too many of them. Right, I
Yeah.
liked like 10 of them, but 2 of them were the Pittsburgh under 9.5 and the Bengals over 6.5. I believe it was. Either way, the Bengals won twice, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I
first
think
few
you had
games.
5.5 over. Then Kelly suggested the alternate
Yes.
of 6.5 at plus money, thinking if they can win
That's
enough
right.
games, then Burrow's incentivized to come back.
That's right. Mine was at 5.5. What I was talking about. It's heavily juiced the over,
Yeah.
but I love the Steelers under and the Bengals over. And so here's a game where that could really catapult both of those. And even if it goes the other way, I still like them. So
3 straight home games, by the way, for the Bengals, starting with Thursday night, and then they have the Jets at home and the Bears at home. There's a chance for this
Wow.
team to maybe kind of at least somewhat steady the ship a little bit. I was impressed that they competed against Green Bay, who was off a bye, looked like they were going to lay them out, and they hung in that game throughout the entire duration.
yeah, and I definitely look. If you look at that schedule, and Wes was just intimating at how it starts, it's like if you can't win, if you're the Bengals and you can't win 4 more games, you are really bad at football. I think they can cobble together 4 or 5 more.
And I believe Gilly
okay.
did. Wes said something about the Steelers being very fortunate. I just heard Aaron Schatz said that they're the most fortunate team with turnovers since the 1962 New York Titans. The New York Titans of 1962. Yes.
He totally didn't hear that from Aaron, but I get the joke. By the way, next week's MegaPod guest, Aaron Schatz.
Yeah.
Yes.
Todd loves when Aaron comes on.
My
That's
goal is to make Aaron Schatz laugh one time. And by the way, bet the under.
Under is heavily juiced.
MegaPod schedule, Aaron Schatz, Wes Reynolds this week, Aaron Schatz next week, Stormy Bonatoni in 2 weeks. There you go.
Wow.
That's how far out we've done it. Okay. Wes, you have honors. Your honor. First best bet of your 3 is?
Okay, let's talk about a team that I did briefly mention earlier. I made the joke because the saying is in 49 states it's just basketball, but this is Indiana. But it's really been in 49 states it's just football, but this is Indiana, with the Indiana Hoosiers, of course, number 3 in the AP poll, and the Indianapolis Colts to be the number 1 seed in the American Football Conference as
What
of
about the
today.
Fever, Wes? The Fever? Have you heard
The
of that?
Fever did make a heck of a run, Todd, to the semifinals before bowing out to the eventual champion Aces, with about 8 players sitting there on the sidelines, including Caitlin Elizabeth Clark. But Fever are coming back for vengeance next year. But the Colts have gotten off to a good start. They're 5-1. They're a lot better, I think, than even I thought that they were going to be. In Indiana Jones, Daniel Jones, has been the real deal. However, I think that this is a spot to sell off a little bit of your position if you have one on the Colts this week. I don't believe we're allowed to do money line, so I'll go Chargers minus 1.5. That's pretty much what it is in the market. And you're never getting a good home field, by the way, in SoFi Stadium, whether it's the Chargers or the Rams. This is Colts' second trip, by the way, out to Los Angeles. They were out there a few weeks ago. Actually, probably should have won the game against the Rams. It just kind of fell apart in the final several minutes. Colts got some injury issues, especially in that secondary. If Kenny Moore with the Achilles, Trevarius Ward, who I mentioned, has the concussion. Meanwhile, on the other side with the Chargers, their injury issues are on the offensive line. Of course, Rashawn Slater, the former first rounder out of Northwestern, out for the year. They might be getting Joe Alt back, though, this week, which I think that they desperately need, because this Charger offensive line has not been great, and Justin Herbert is getting hit way too much. But if they get a little help from the injury bug on that offensive line, I do like the Chargers this week. I think the Colts have been getting a little fortunate. They got very fortunate, I felt, to even just win against the Arizona Cardinals last week. And that line, of course, went up with Kyler Murray out. But Jacoby Brissett, who is a very capable, hey, I can step in for a game and you don't really lose a lot. You can't really do it for a whole season. Brissett threw a 320 last week on Indianapolis. And it wasn't like Arizona was trailing. It wasn't like it was a trailing game script here. So I think the Colts, I hate to use the term due. I think they're kind of due to get beat, though. They've been very fortunate, I think, over the last couple of weeks. And I think maybe that runs out against the all yellow. I don't know if you guys saw this on the X. They're doing the all yellow Charger uniforms this Sunday in SoFi.
Wow. That's big news right there. Jacoby Brissett, by the way, I know this has nothing to do with the game that Wes selected. By the way, excellent knowledge of the MegaPod bylaws that you're not allowed to do a money line, Wes. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Jacoby Brissett, the 1 year, so when Andrew Luck suddenly retired, the year that Jacoby Brissett started the whole season, basically, didn't he get like 12 of those games to the Colts having a lead in the fourth quarter until they like gacked a whole bunch of them?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that the stat?
It was. And Jacoby, he's a guy that never really loses games for you per se, where it's like his fault. But he's not a guy that's good enough to always go out and like grab a win for you. He's a steady Eddie type of quarterback, which is why he's still in the league, because he's a very good backup quarterback and a very good guy that, hey, I can start you for a week or two in a pinch while our normal guy gets right. So he is a guy that certainly still has the ability to do that. But I personally laid money line, but I will go Chargers -1.5 as my first best bet.
Chargers for Wes. Wes, were you named after Wes Unseld?
I was not.
You were not.
My middle name, Dean, was after James Dean. So I asked my late mother, why didn't you just name me James then instead of Wesley? She never had
Wes is more unique.
She never had a good answer for that. But.
Yeah, well.
My mom didn't let me go to the public high school, and I would have been the fucking starting quarterback because the kid who was the starter was not better than me, and I grew up with him. So you know what? A class action lawsuit is coming.
Way to bring your mom into this.
Well, if we're bringing up how moms did bad things, Wes said his mom named him incorrectly, and I said my mom did horrible things.
Scars are souvenirs you never lose, Todd.
Oh man!
Think of all the action. Think of all the action you missed out on, Todd. If you were a starting quarterback, you ever think about that?
All the action.
It would have been a lot of action. They would have learned very quickly where I was lacking. Anyways, what I'd like to talk about. By the way, I love your guys' Jacoby Brissett game manager thing. He's the ultimate John Fox quarterback. I always used to talk about John Fox being the 9-7 coach who would always just win the games he was supposed to win by not making any mistakes and lose the games he was supposed to lose by not making any mistakes. And that's like Jacoby Brissett. But anyways, who do I like in my first game? I guess you're going to force me. I feel like I'm being forced by you folks, but I'm going to do it anyways. I feel like you're forcing me to take the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not sure I want to take the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't like what they look like. But this is the same team that went into Kansas City and won a football game. This is the same team that beat somebody else pretty good on the road also. I can't remember exactly who, but they did beat them. Now you're telling me that they have to go into Minnesota and either beat – I asked Willie this time so I didn't screw up on who the quarterback was. I said, Willie, who are the Vikings starting at quarterback? Is it going to be that McCarthy Joker or the Wentz Joker? Well, it doesn't matter to me because he said he's not sure. It doesn't matter who the starting quarterback is. The bottom line is the Philadelphia Eagles are going to come in here angry, my friends. The sea was angry that day, and the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be angry that day after the whooping that they took against the New York Giants, which cost me a fortune because I kept playing the Eagles in game to come back. I just couldn't believe what I was watching, and I just don't believe that's really the Eagles. And if we're ever going to get an Eagles performance that's outstanding, I feel this is the week. So give me the Eagles -1.5.
Can I jump in line real quick before you will? Because I too have the Eagles, Todd. I don't know if that makes you happy or sad that I'm with you on this.
It's fine with me.
Just add this.
One less game to beat you.
One less game for me to beat you. That's right. The Vikings are 3-2. They got a, I won't call it a miracle, but they got that last second-ish win against the Browns in the international game. They had a turnover fest against the Bengals. So, good for them. I'm not sure how that game's otherwise. And they beat the Bears by 3 points. Otherwise, they've lost. I just don't think they're a very good football team. And I'm with you, Todd. What's the old Marco D'Angelo line? No team is as good as they are one week or as bad as they are one week. I think the Eagles, the ultimate bounce back for them. And it is the Vikings coming off the bye, but the Eagles have extra rest too here, right? From a Thursday night football game. So that sort of mitigates that part of it as well. And the Vikings had to travel from overseas anyway. So there's no real advantage rest-wise to me. So I'm with you. I'm on the Eagles. Sorry about that, Willie.
Might as well. Let's get it out of the way. Congratulations to Todd and Gilly. Might as well just mark that as a W. Todd, as Fez would say, that's a winner. I'm on the Vikings here. I think they're getting a lot healthier. Cashman, the green dot, looks like he's on track to play. They might have 4/5 of the offensive line back. It's tricky. The tricky part of doing this Wednesday, we don't have access to injuries like we would with another 24 hours or so, but it looks like the offensive line might be intact here. I don't know if Van Ginkel's going to go. He's close, but they're getting healthier. And I do think, and you listen to some of the X's and O's people, this Philly team is just not well coached on offense. We had Joe Pita talk about it last week. I heard Warren Sharp on a numbers game today talking about they keep alternating between being, all right, let's be run heavy. All right, let's be pass heavy. They just don't have identity, is a cliche, but
Willie, I heard that too. But Willie, answer me a question. Did they all of a sudden forget how to play football and coach football? Answer that for me, Will, because I heard the same thing.
They might have forgotten how to coach football. They're bottom 4 in the league in yards per play on offense. So I'm getting the healthier team. I'm getting points at home. I think I got the much better coaching staff. Flores against whatever Philly's throwing together offensively, I think is an advantage. So I will take the 1.5 with Minnesota.
Wow. Oppo alert. Oppo.
And Willie's favorite team, folks, is the Minnesota Vikings.
Homer pick, Willie.
And,
Homer.
All I could say is I heard the same stuff. Oh, and I saw the videos. Why are they running the same play with 2 guys going out deep and 2 guys going out short? Maybe Wes can answer me. Did the coach just completely forgot how to coach offensive football? Is that what happened?
Well, most of the staff for Philadelphia, by the way, has gone to New Orleans. Of course, Kellen Moore being the offensive coordinator, and that they promoted from within. But I've been against the Eagles a lot early in the season because of this offense. They're just not running the ball as effectively. They've had some offensive line injuries, and plus, I think it takes a time. Even if it's a guy from within, it takes time for a coordinator to be used to being the play caller in Philadelphia. And a lot of that Kellen Moore staff went down to New Orleans. So they've certainly been off kilter to start the season.
Okay.
My turn.
Me and Gilly
My
will
second.
stand corrected.
My turn. My number 2 is, by the way, Seattle -3 still. There are a lot of -3s available. Yes, Monday night. Hosting the Texans. Confirming.
I am.
Yeah, I see a lot of -3s.
Yeah. Okay. I'm taking the Seahawks -3. This was a bet I made during guessing lines Monday morning. Todd has never seen that show.
What are you talking about? I listen to it religiously every morning.
Thank you.
I have an alarm.
Maybe I was mistaken.
I get up early.
Now, Todd, I'm not making, although you made up a DVOA stat earlier, I am actually not making up the following 2 DVOA stats. This is hot off the press. The number 1 team
Titans?
through 6 weeks in the National Football League in DVOA, Aaron Schatz's proprietary stat, the Seattle Seahawks, number 1 in the National Football League. But here's the historical number of all the 4-2 teams. Of all the 4-2 teams dating all the way back to 1978, these Seahawks are the second best 4-2 team in the entire database. The best 4-2 team of all time, thanks for asking, the 2015 Arizona Cardinals, who went 13-3 that year. Was that a Carson Palmer year? Or a Kurt Warner year? Maybe?
Yeah, Palmer. They went to the NFC title game that year.
What about Donovan McNabb? No, Donovan McNabb was earlier.
No. I'm taking the Seahawks here. I just think they're a better football team than the Texans. And much like with the Vikings, I mean, if you do the autopsy on the Texans so far this year, they crushed Tennessee and they crushed a Baltimore team that had like third stringers in, or just was a complete mash unit. Other than that, they've lost to the Rams, they lost to the Bucks, they lost to the Jaguars. I don't think they're a very good football team. I think defensively they're good. Offensively, I don't think anything of them. I just think the Seahawks are better all around. -3. I guessed 4.5 on guessing lines. Seahawks, my second pick.
Todd, just to clarify, are we okay with the 3? I do see some 3.5s. I don't know. You tell me.
There's enough threes.
I saw a bunch of 3s, so I'm going to give
bunch
it
of
to him.
threes.
Okay.
Plus, the guy's 2.5 behind in the loss.
Listen to Willie. Willie's stepping in there trying to mess things up for me. Yeah. Toddy. No, Will. Will, you're second. Will second.
What do we have for the New England game?
The New
Depends.
England Patriots are looking like a 7-point favorite, and 42 seems to be the total.
I promised, I made a vow that I would no longer take the Tennessee Titans. However,
he's doing it again.
Terms and conditions apply. That was under the condition that Brian Callahan, maybe the worst coach in the NFL in NFL history, was still the coach. He is gone. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. The curse has been lifted. It's a fresh start, and I am going to take the Titans plus the 7. I'm not trying to sit here and tell you that Mike McCoy is Joe Gibbs or Paul Brown or Vince Lombardi, but he can't be worse. This has to be addition by subtraction. Are we really at the point where the Patriots are laying a touchdown on the road against anybody? I will take the Titans. I think if you take the Patriots in Survivor, your sphincters will become unseasonably tight on Sunday afternoon. Give me the Titans plus the 7.
Unseasonably tight.
Will was about to go all Michael Bublé there. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life, and I'm feeling good.
Can we give?
Sorry,
Will,
Todd. I'm taking your gimmick. You're the singer on this program.
Can we give Will a shout out? Will is, I don't know if you know this, Will has had a tough time here on the MegaPod this year, but he did nail Brian Callahan, first coach fired. Round of applause for Willie on that.
Outstanding job by Willie. Great job.
15-1. So all of the Titans screwing that they've done me since last year, I just kept picking them over. Oh, this is too many points. That's too many points. It's at least come back to me a little bit here, more than a little bit with the first coach fired, which you make this this point all the time on a numbers game, Gil. I'll aggregate you on your own podcast that you could spend so much time and thought on certain things and it loses or you just break even or whatever. And then something just thoughtless that you put 10 seconds in hits. And it's funny how betting works that way.
The comedy of sports betting, right?
Aaron Schatz has Will Hill's record when selecting the Titans all the way back to 1978 at 0 and 276 with one push. 0, 276 and 1.
Something's got to give. Or not. All right, Toddy, number 2.
By the way, I really don't hate his pick because we do see this. We do see this with teams that have new coaches, and everybody gets a little hip in their little bump in their step. Everybody's grooving. Everybody's like, "Oh, okay, let's go. We got to show what we are." So if there was ever a time to take the Titans, this is plus all the Patriots hype. Drake May is the greatest quarterback in the history of quarterbacks. Now they're saying, "Oh, did you see how good he is in intermediate and deep and intermediate deep and short at intermediate deep?" All the categories they have. By the way, he's excellent. I do love Drake May. I love when these guys with the charts.
But they are the slurpitude of Drake May.
Oh man, they're slurping. They're heavy. They're big gulping. They're big gulping, Mr. Drake May right now.
They really are.
I just figured out, too, you know why Gilly gets annoyed? Because he got picked right after Daniels, and Gilly's a little, get off my turf. Daniels is still a guy. I think that's part of it.
I do like
You're on to me.
I think Drake May's going to be excellent. But let's just temper it down a tiny bit, okay, with the Drake May. Anyways, who am I taking?
By the way, what you're referring to about the Titans in the stock market parlance is called a dead cat bounce, right, Todd?
There you go.
That's what we're looking at.
The
here.
dead cat bounce, which signifies a slight rally in a stock that has been absolutely pummeled before it gets pummeled yet again. Anyways, I'm going to take on my second pick here. I've got a bunch of them written down here. I want to just go with the Rams game. Do you have the Rams game total at 44.5?
Pretty much in the market. There's more 44.5s than there are 45s.
So give me the over 44.5 in the Rams against the Jaggers. To me, the Rams are an over team. I know it was 17-3 last week. I actually was at 3-3 at the half. They had the over at 26. And I said, how can it not go over 26? It was 17-3 in literally the first 4 seconds of the third quarter. And I'm already counting my money. I only need 6 points the rest of the game. And somehow they get inside the 5 1,000 times, can't score. But anyways, the Rams, to me, they're an over team. Look at their game against Adonai Mitchell, who dropped the ball. That game could have had even more points. He pulled what we like to call a demarcado in that one. The Rams, to me, there was a lot of points scored in that Eagles game. If you look at almost all their games, they're giving up stuff. The 49er game, of course, the overtime game, they're giving up stuff, but it's hard to stop them. It's hard to stop that Rams team. They got a good running game, and they throw it to Nakua 100 times a game. So I think the Rams are going to get theirs. And the Jaguars, I'm scared of them on defense. On defense, I don't like their defense. They scare me. I feel like they're slightly below average. They should have given up about, 35 points to the Chiefs had Mahomes not thrown that interception. To me, the Jags are not real good on defense. I think they're going to give up points to the Rams here. And I think they're good enough to get enough points because the Rams don't exactly, typically shut people down other than they beat the Ravens, but big deal that, with that bad quarterback. I'm talking about they gave up 19 to the Titans. They gave up a bunch to the Eagles. I don't see the Rams as a shutdown D either. And 44.5 in an NFL game with two teams that are not exactly shutdown defensive teams and decent or very good offensive teams, I got to go over 44.5. It's just too low.
Willie, Todd informed me on a numbers game off air that he has prepared for every single MegaPod that he's ever been on. He's done show prep before the MegaPod. Do you believe this? Yes or no?
Why don't you tell him what I said exactly and don't change what I said. I said I prepare and write down my little notes as to who I'm taking, and then what happens is Fezzik comes on, and because I have 4 games written down and I decide at the last second who I want to make my third pick, he says, oh, you're not prepared, which is bull crap. Now, Willie, tell me, do I have the little notes or don't I? Because I have them right here and I'll show them to you, you asshole.
Todd prepares like every show, just like Teoscar Hernandez prepares to tag up from third base and knows the base running rules.
I see. I get it. Okay, just
I will
back to your pick quickly. Stadium concessions prepares for the Hills to show up.
Yes, exactly. I will say, as somebody who's taken a few unders recently, I find it very hard to take unders with the new kickoff rules. And I had no score first 6 minutes in a couple games. Broncos Jets, which somehow lost in the game with no scoring. Giants, Eagles, you just with the kickoff rules, if the kick doesn't get kicked properly, it starts at the 40. These guys can kick it from the other 40. It's a very uncomfortable feeling sitting there with the under of a low total because it feels like to use a baseball term to stick with baseball, feels like you're always in scoring position. You're always like 10 yards away from being in field goal range one way or another. It's very hard to stay under these low totals now.
I think this is the single greatest point anybody could make about the first 6 weeks of the NFL. And I don't even think it's the low totals. I just think it's any total. Like if you're in gaming something, you end up in this position where, because all these games are plinko in the end of the NFL. You inevitably end up in this situation where you're like, well, just got to keep them from scoring here and I'll get this under. And it's like short of the landing zone, out of bounds, like you name it, right? Or a great kickoff return. We're seeing tons of those. These guys are kicking it from 60. It is just a different place to be now with these new rules. It really is.
Trust your defense, right?
Yeah, that's right. Trust your defense. What could go wrong? This will be fine. Wes, you have 2 now. You get your second and your third back to back.
All right. Let's. We were talking when we were talking about Philadelphia, how most of the offensive staff is now in New Orleans, and New Orleans off to a tough start at 1-5, but they've been competitive in every game but one. And I think they're going to be competitive again. The New Orleans Saints plus 5.5 at the Chicago Bears. Saints didn't get there for me. They were my one loser on my Circa Million entry last week. I just didn't have anything in the second half of the Patriots. Didn't feel like they were outclassed. Just couldn't get across the finish line there, and the Patriots ran out the clock late. But I do like the Saints here at 5.5 because I think it's not even really a buy of them. It is more of a sell of the Chicago Bears, who have now won 3 in a row, did win in DC on Monday night in the second half of the doubleheader. I'm not a believer in the Bears right now. If you look at their 3 wins, which were the Cowboys, and then right out here where I was at the game at Allegiant Stadium a couple weeks ago, where they beat the Raiders, as the Raiders had that field goal blocked at the end, and then of course on Monday night against Washington, the Chicago Bears in those 3 wins are plus 10 in turnover margin. That's unsustainable to me. Sometimes teams have good years in the plus or minus turnover margin, and the Bears probably will end up with a good year, but plus 10 over the last 3 games. I think that is right for a team that's a little bit of an overinflated favorite here against New Orleans. Now, there is maybe some win there in Chicago, even though the total has been bet to the over from the opener, curiously enough, to Will's point just a moment ago, 45.5 to as high as 47.5. But the New Orleans Saints plus 5.5 to me, I just think that the Bears are still a little bit overvalued. Now, credit to Caleb Williams. He's not turning the ball over. He's not making mistakes. He'll miss some throws. He's still a very young quarterback. But the Bears have not been in this role. Keep in mind, the 2 home games they played, they were underdogs against the Vikings in the opener, and they were underdogs against the Cowboys. Now you're asking them to win by 6 or more against the New Orleans Saints. I just think that that's too much of an overcompensation in the line. So give me Nolans here.
Such a good point about, well, first of all, you're right about Caleb. Like, he's even better than he was earlier in the year, I think. And Todd was making the point earlier. He thinks Ben Johnson might be able to help him out moving forward too. But that turnover ratio thing is everything. Washington was going to overcome a -2 to win that game. They couldn't overcome the -3 though. Like, that's what it took for the Bears to win that football game.
Wait, 2 things about that. First of all, is it 5 or 5.5?
There, you could give me 5. There are some 5.5s out there, but
guys, you make the call on this one.
Let's see. You make the Alcoa presents. You make the call. I think it's -5 consensus there.
So Saints plus 5 for Wes.
That's fine.
Sorry, Wes. The other thing I want to ask Wes and all of you guys is, if you're sitting with a money line Commander ticket, I believe the score, and because I was and Gilly was, I had the money line Commander ticket, and the score was at that point 24-22, and the Commanders had the Bears had the ball after the fumble, and I believe there was a timeout with, I'm going to tell you exactly, I think it was 147 is what it was. I'm pretty sure. Let me just check it to make sure I'm right. Okay, it was 140. They were at the 40. Okay, 2nd and 7. There was a timeout at 2nd and 7 at the Washington 41. 2nd and 6, Washington 41, 127 to play. At this point, I looked at the numbers, and I saw I could get Bears plus 125 on the game and get off my Washington money line. Now, I didn't do it because I'm a knucklehead who has watched Moody beat me time after time when I had him, and he would miss field goals in the rain for me at least on 4 occasions. So I went into hopium mode, and I said, well, yeah, I know Washington can't stop anybody, but it's Moody. He might miss anyways. Now, what I should have done is said, forget about Moody. They can't stop anything. Just take the plus 125. Would I have made the bet originally? What would you guys have done if I said to you, you have Washington money line, you can take the Bears here plus 125 and get off the bet? Do you do it? 2nd and 6 at the 41, 127 to play. Do you do it or don't you do it? I say I'm an idiot for not doing it.
I missed what you said. Can you start over?
Yes. 2nd and 6 at the 41. Go ahead.
You know what, though? You're okay. In retrospect, yes, right? In retrospect, you're an idiot.
No, but
in retrospect, I'm an idiot. I didn't
put yourself in that moment before we saw
but that's what I'm getting at. It's all good that we all, because we all do content in the middle of the week. And so when we go back on it, we're able to say, oh, yeah, we were an idiot, or we're not. But like in the moment, and I think this is what you're speaking to, is that it's really difficult to sort of go ahead and make that call, because as like you said, Moody, I don't know if that's going in the rain, right? Jaden Daniels just couldn't handle the ball. Might the same happen to the Bears? So yeah, in retrospect, idiots, but I don't know, man. I don't think you can beat yourself up.
Gil, you made my point there with the weather, because it was raining pretty hard. When Washington was trying to run out the clock, and Daniels, that fumble was on Daniels. He just never had a grasp of the ball, couldn't get a Krosky Merritt. What's to say that doesn't happen on the other end to Swift or Monogany, however you pronounce his name, the Rutgers kid that's the Bears backup running back, who's ever getting the ball there. What's to say that that's not going to happen? So that's so touch and go, where it's kind of like you already put your chips in. You just got to kind of take the result as it comes there.
I agree. But let me Todd, what do you always say? Todd, what's your line always in those situations when you ruin a win? You're all like, I just took a win away from myself, right? You say that just as often.
Well, here's the thing. would you guys have made the bet if you didn't have if you had no position in the game, and I come to you right at that moment and I say, do you want Bears plus 125?
I wouldn't have made that bet. No.
I thought it was fairly priced. A boring answer, but I remember when you texted like what the response was. I didn't trust Moody. I didn't really trust the Washington D. I mean, I thought the price was kind of what it should be.
Okay, so then I just wanted to hear what you guys thought about that. I thought that was very interesting what to do in that moment.
Wes, you got one more?
Yeah, I got one more. I'm not getting the best of the number on the opener here, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. I didn't think I'd be on 2 or 3 favorites, but here we are. Let's go to Monday Night Football. And let's go to with the Detroit Lions minus 5.5 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I faded the Lions last week against Kansas City because I thought Kansas City, even in defeat against Jacksonville, like their offense looked like it was getting right. And it certainly, I think, is still bearing fruit. I think Kansas City's offense is getting healthier and it's getting better, and they're also getting Rice back very soon. Meanwhile, Detroit had an unhealthy secondary, and they're still not 100% here. I think Branch, I don't know if that's officially been announced, if he's going to be suspended for that incident after the game on Sunday night. Terry and Arnold may come back with the shoulder issue, so that certainly helps. They might also be getting Decker back, so I think that's a big help on the offensive line for Detroit. But it's mainly a little bit of a fade of the Bucs here. Because now I think people want to sell Detroit, even though the money is moving their way so far this week, because of what they saw in prime time last week. I'm wanting to sell the Bucs with their injuries, because check out who they do have out. Evans, of course, we know is on IR with the hamstring. Igbuka just got downgraded to doubtful with the hamstring. Chris Godwin, who was out and then came back, now he's likely to not play. Bucky Irving not likely to play. So that's why I think you've seen a little of the line movement. Plus Detroit getting a little bit better of an injury report early in the week with Taylor Decker, the left tackle, potentially back. And also Aleem McNeil, who has been out most of the year, arguably their best run stopper. Tampa Bay, to me, and I don't want to poo-poo them because 5-1 is 5-1. And Baker Mayfield, look, the guy is a gamer. You got to tip your cap to him. He really is. But when all of a sudden I'm starting to see not only on our platform, but all the other platforms in the space, Baker Mayfield MVP, Baker Mayfield MVP, Baker Mayfield MVP, boy, that scares the you-know-what out of me. and it's like you're buying this team at the top of the hype, and you're buying this team at the top of the market. And if Baker Mayfield can do this with maybe without his top 4 receivers, because keep in mind Jalen McMillan still on IR, who was their draft pick out of Washington last year. And if he can do that, then you know what? Maybe the MVP talk is deserved. But I think this Tampa Bay team has been very, very fortunate early in the season. Lions have won 2 of the last 3 matchups in the last 2 years. I don't know if Tampa can cover Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's been averaging about 10 catches a game in those last 3 outings over the last 2 years against Tampa Bay. And then, of course, you've got indoor Jared Goff, 35-12-1 against the number, 75%. I'm not a big trend guy, but when you have a long sample size and you give it some good context, this is the preferred spot, I think, for Detroit here. And I know that's a big number, and you're seeing a 5-1 Tampa Bay team, and people are tempted to take that dog. Don't be tempted. Lay it with the Lions.
Brian Branch is suspended for this one game. Just this one game.
Appealing, though, right?
What's that?
Appealing, though, I believe.
Is he appealing?
I don't know if that appeal will be heard between now and the game, but I did see he was appealing. And this is one of my plays too. I did have Detroit. Sorry, Wes, but I'm with you on the Lions. So,
Wes,
restore the roar.
Yeah, an old NFC North, NFC Central battle. And look, these teams have played twice since the start of 2023. Detroit won the first 2 games pretty comfortably. The third, if you'll remember, I'm sure a lot of people remember because it was a survivor killer. Detroit lost early in the season. I think it was week 3 last year. They outgained Tampa by 230 yards, like 463 to 220. I think it was Gibbs who ran out of bounds late when he was walking in for a touchdown, but his toe touched the line. A lot of factors there. Campbell has been great off of a loss. for all the reasons you mentioned about Tampa with their injuries, just selling them at the right time. So I think Detroit winning this game by a touchdown more is in play. Do you guys miss the the NFC Central? I miss the Central, AFC Central, NFC Central. I miss the divisions the way they used to be. Arizona used to be in the East. They used to make no sense. But yeah, I like Detroit.
What did Berman used to say? The NFC North.
The Norris division, yes.
Yeah.
The Norris division. I'll tell you what I miss for Tampa Bay is the creamsicle uniforms. I feel like all the uniforms in like 1990 are better than they are today. Like the Falcons wearing those red helmets on a Monday night with the black jerseys. That was a slick look. I think they are overcomplicating the uniforms today now.
NBA too. NBA, the uniforms were better in the 90s. You go look at like the old Grizzlies and Raptors and like Pistons. They had great uniforms. Totally with you. By the way, one more uniform point. I don't like when Washington wears the all blacks. It just doesn't look right. I don't know if you agree with that, Gilly.
I don't like the helmet either.
I think they did that. That was the first time they went with the numbers on the helmet, though. I don't remember them doing numbers on the helmet before. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But I think they did the black on black as in commemoration of the Hail Miriam from last year. Just looking for that kind of spark against the Bears. The NBA thing with the uniforms, though, don't do the throwbacks during the playoffs. Remember they were doing that this year?
Yeah, Grizzlies did that. Stupid.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to say both of you in going with the Lions, you've forgotten one huge point. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers rostering Owen Wright.
True.
That is the secret weapon.
True.
So I'm sorry.
Is he going to be elevated? Is he going to be on the roster on Sunday, you think? Or we don't know yet?
I don't know yet. I'll have to. He'll text me and let me know. The only NFL player, he and his sister, who I've given baths to when they were little babies.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's how
I hope that's true, to be honest.
Yes.
If you gave like Patrick Mahomes a bath 4 years ago or something, I don't know. We'd have to have a discussion.
No. When they're let's clarify. When they're little kids. Toddy.
The creamsicle as a popsicle is an underrated popsicle as well.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you get that delicious orange on the outside, and then whoa, up inside here we got a little vanilla ice cream going all the way. Now that's a popsicle. Anyways, I do like the creamsicle. I hate the NBA with too many uniforms. Forget the throwback uniform. There's 8 million different colors.
Yeah.
If you're in the sports book and you're trying to figure out who's playing, you have no idea who's even playing anymore because this team has the Lakers are wearing, peach raspberry, or the other teams are wearing, what is going on? It's too much because the goddamn Chazars can't get enough money. They need the freaking 8-year-old to say, Daddy, you didn't get me the black raspberry Laker jersey. I need the black raspberry. This is freaking ridiculous. When can they say enough is enough, you big fat ownership Chazars?
Hey, Todd, how do you feel about the MLB City Connect jerseys?
I'm not a fan.
You don't like when Boston wears its traditional yellow and blue? You don't like that?
I mean, but in baseball, at least they only do it once a week. Like
That's
that.
True.
In the NBA, it's like any day you turn on the.
Yeah.
What am I even watching? Now, thank God I don't even watch that nonsense. I watch college basketball. And college basketball, guess what? They wear the same uniforms. You know who's playing. Oh, look, it's Villanova. Oh, it's Columbia. I've seen those light blue ones before. You don't have to look at the screen 400 times. Anyway,
do you do that before the game? You're like, oh, look, it's Villanova.
Yeah, look, you got Villanova.
Oh, look,
Columbia, according to my DVOA, is 117-12 in the light blues going over against Cornell. Okay, so I will take. Pick. What'd you say?
I said, give us your damn pick already.
Oh, my third pick. Okay, so I have written down just in case you guys don't believe me, but there's all little notes, whatever. I have a couple written down in this exact same game. I'd like to know what the line is, both the line and the total in the Cleveland Browns game.
Cleveland Browns.
-2 in the hook I'm seeing for the side.
-2.5 painted.
40.5. 40
and
a half.
40.5. I see 39.5.
Yeah, I've got a lot of 39.5s.
Oh, really?
Hold please. Where did you go, Browns game? Where did it disappear to? Oh, it's tomorrow. That's
rotation 455, 456.
Oh, yeah. It's like kind of, I think 39.5 is actually the consensus, isn't it?
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. In totals betting, sometimes you have two teams with great offenses and no defenses. For instance, this week we have the highest total on the board of the entire season. I believe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe 55.5 in the Redskins versus the Cowboys. is the highest number on the board for the year. Yep. And that's because, of course, the Cowboys stink on defense and are very good on offense. And the Commanders are also very good on offense and pretty stinky on defense, as we saw when they blew the game against the Bears. However, this week, we also have a different type of game. The Dolphins are a good over team because, of course, their defense stinks and their offense isn't that bad. So that's why they keep going over every single game. And the Browns are the opposite, a very good defense with a very terrible offense. And that's why a lot of their games have been going under, or if they're not going under, they're staying low on the scoreboard. The other problem is the Browns can't score over 17 points. According to my DVOA, they haven't scored over 17 points since 1978. But with that said, 39.5 is a very, very low NFL number. Willie just brought up, and Gilly seconded the point with the kickoffs being out to the wazoo, and the guy just has to kick a 60-yard field goal. 39.5? That's too low. Give me over 39.5. Dylan Gabriel will throw the ball to Harold Fannin and Njoku 8,000 times on little dinker-dunker plays. And by the way, it's probably not a bad place to look at longest completion by Gabriel under whatever they have it at, because he doesn't ever throw the ball down the field. He might throw a 14-yard pass to like Judy or something over the middle. Otherwise, it's a dink to the running back, a dink to the tight end, back to the running back, back to the tight end. It's dink dunk game management all game long. With that said, the Dolphins defense is horrible. It's not good, folks. And I don't see why the Browns can't get maybe even 20 points this week. I know that would be a big deal to go up and over the 17, but I think they might even be able to get to 20. And I think the Dolphins, they're pretty decent on offense, and Tua could throw a pick or something. The bottom line is this over 39.5 to me, it's just too low. And, the Browns are not going to go under every single week for the whole week of the NFL season. There's got to be some overs here. Give me over 39.5 in the Brownies game. Thank you.
They did go over 2 weeks ago against the Vikings.
Yeah, okay, barely, right? 21-17.
Do you guys agree that it's 39.5? I see most 39.5s and an occasional 40 and 40.5. Yeah, 39.5 is the number. All right, final pick. I am going with the Atlanta Falcons plus 2.5 versus the San Francisco 49ers. I made a bet this week on the Falcons to win the NFC at 28-1 at Circa. I could have gotten 30-1 at MGM, but I didn't want the hassle. That shows you how betting works here in Nevada. So
hassle of what? Getting your limit in or what?
The hassle of going to the book and them saying, well, you can't really get this at the counter. You're going to have to put money in the app. And then me going to the app, putting in the money, and then limiting the bet past, below what I want to actually bet. Yeah. So it's just for the extra 2, which ends up being a lot of money in the end. But still, I'll take the 28-1 at Circa. Thank you very much.
All on a $75 bet. Jeez.
Yes.
That's right. All on a $75 bet, as the trolls would tell you.
Willie, do you have 2.5 or 2?
I see 2.5. What do you?
I see 2.5. Stop trying to screw Gilly over. You're going to be fine. You're in first place. You can just win with honor.
Seattle,
you don't have to try and screw him over.
When he said Seattle -3, did I say anything, Will?
You texted me to say that, hey, there's not all 3s. There's some 3.5s.
The love the love for the Atlanta Falcons for me is requires one to eliminate the 30-0 loss against the Panthers from your mind. If you do that, you can actually get to where I am with this team, because the rest of them were 3 wins and a win that was taken from them by Baker Mayfield heroics in week 1. So they pretty much won every other game. By the way, the 7-point win over Washington was much bigger than that. The Buffalo win, obviously, this past Monday night was super convincing, and they crushed Minnesota as well. So if you just purge this 1 week against Carolina as something really weird happened that day, this team is damn good. And the Niners, these injuries have to catch up to them at some point. Like, you can't keep losing bodies and squeak by with victories week after week. Again, with the Niners, they should have lost to Seattle. Somehow they won. They could have. I won't say should have. Could have lost to Seattle. Somehow they won. Could have lost to New Orleans. People forget. Both of those games, they induced a fumble late to preserve the win. They beat the Cardinals by 1. They beat the Rams by 3. That's probably their most impressive win. Lost to Jacksonville, lost to Tampa Bay. I just feel like Fred Warner's out now too. You can't keep winning football games when you're losing these not only bodies, but like huge, like really big players. Give me the Falcons. I think that they are the most underrated team in the National Football League. That is my third pick.
By the way, speaking of the Falcons, and I'd like to throw this out to the entire panel here, but this Bijan Robinson, I don't know if you guys have checked this guy out, but the other day, okay, I looked at his rushing plus receiving pregame. It was 108.5. I looked at the 4 games he played. In the 30-0 loss, he got 111 rushing receiving. In the other games, he got 140-something, 140-something, and 170-something. So I said, I'll square ball this all day, and I'll take over Bijan rushing receiving against a horrible Bills defense, and I was a winner by halftime. Do you guys ever just see something so square ballish and you just say, well, you can't play Bijan Robinson rushing receiving? I mean, the guy's great. He's second in offensive player of the year possibilities. In fact, I don't know why he's not ahead of Jonathan Taylor.
I'm looking, as you're saying that, I'm looking that up.
I mean, Caesars has Bijan at plus 350 and Jonathan Taylor plus 150. Come on. This Bijan. And here's the other thing about Bijan. He's almost what's the word I'm looking for? You can't get him on
game state independent.
Yeah, he's game state independent. That's a great word. He's game state independent. Every other guy, if it's like, let's say you're taking a rushing prop and the team gets way behind, well, you're screwed on your rushing prop because they're not going to hand the ball off, and vice versa. If you get too far ahead and you take a receiving prop, your team just keeps handing off and never gets any passes. So you're game state danger sometimes with a lot of these props. Whereas a guy with Bijan, he will either run it when they're ahead or he will catch the ball when they're behind. So you get your yards on the rushing plus receiving either way. And I feel like there's almost nobody out there who does that. Who else just gets their numbers regardless of game state scenario with when you talk about the rushing plus receiving?
I think the phrase you're looking for is game script proof, perhaps.
Yeah, that's the same idea.
138 rushing yards in the first half, and by the end of the game, he had 238 combined yards, 170 rushing, 68 receiving.
I mean, he's absurd.
And by the way, the other part of that Atlanta equation that I've not even mentioned, we know the Bijans, we know the Drake Londons of the world, we know the Kyle Pittses of the world, and Penix. But that defense, and Todd, you called this early in the year, sneaky good. And by the way, in stats, EPA, both their offense and defense are really good.
It's weird, too, because they never have a good defense. Even going back to, like, the Matt Ryan teams, there was always, like, Roddy White and Julio Jones, but they were soft on the offensive line. They were soft on defense. So this isn't just, like, the last couple of years they haven't had a good defense. You think back, like, decades. You never think Atlanta in defense. You think Atlanta, and they score points, kind of a soft dome team. They got skill guys, but never a defense.
They got a ton of pressure on Josh Allen, by the way, on Monday night. I thought, besides Bijan, I thought that was the real difference maker. Getting those guys behind the chains. And then, and also on the Bills side, just as an aside point, more evidence that nobody in this league right now, and it's still early in the season, nobody's great. Nobody is. The moment you think a team is really good, that you figure out that they're not. And the Bills, quite frankly, had not beaten anybody except for a much different Baltimore team in week 1. But that materialized there on Monday night. So Dirty Birds, all of a sudden starting to rebound. Just wear those uniforms that you wore on Monday night more often, and you're going to the playoffs.
By the way,
I asked, go ahead.
I was just going to say about the Bills. The Bills are almost like the Lions in a sense. You notice when the Bills get serious in the game, they hand it to Cook 100 times in a row, and then Josh Allen throws one to the tight end or Shakir. But they start running. If you shut that running down and you become just Josh Allen dropping back, he's way better than Goff, obviously. But it really hurts their offense. Now, why you guys didn't answer my question? Is there any other person more game independent on a props from rushing plus receiving than Bijan Robinson? I think he's a one of a kind. Maybe Christian McCaffrey. I can't think of anybody else.
That's who I was going to say. But also that's so injury dependent. I think with the 49ers because he can get it receiving or he can get it rushing, but like to Gill's point, which is part of the reason for his selection, these injuries just adding up for the 49ers. And I thought this was going to be their year in the NFC. I really did. But this is just like it was last year. And they need some healthy bodies, and they need them soon. That injury report is like a mile long.
And think about it, like it's Kittle, it's Ayuk still, now it's Fred Warner, it goes on and on.
Bosa.
Bosa, obviously. the two guys that are the most oft injured are McCarthy and McCaffrey. Pardon me, McCaffrey and Trent Williams.
London
Breed, and they're still there. So who knows what when it's about. And obviously, we're forgetting about quarterback, right? Purdy giving way to Mac Jones. So I mean, it's just on and on with those guys. Pearsall. You just every time you think of a new, you like pause 3 more seconds, you think of somebody else. What was I going to say here? Oh, real quick, Survivor. If you're still in Survivor, which I'm not, my picks would probably come from this group of 4 this week. Broncos, Patriots, Bears. I think you have to consider them. And if you're not in Circa, the Chiefs. Maybe even if you're still in Circa, but Chiefs obviously have a Thanksgiving and Christmas quirk. But I think it's from that group of 4.
It makes me sad when the Chiefs are good. Because it's every.
So you're always sad?
It just makes me sad because I think finally we're going to have a year without the Chiefs, And of course, you wonder how great they are, but I'm just tired. It's like the Patriots. Remember the Patriots? Every single year it was the Patriots. Can't we get somebody else in here? It's just tired.
But this is almost. I mean, like we're borderline. The Chiefs have been to the Super Bowl 5 out of the last 6 years. Tom Brady didn't do that. Like, he's incredible.
It's enough already.
Well, I think you're going to get 6 out of 7. I really do.
Unfortunately, I think you're right.
All right, teaser of the week. Wes, your favorite 2-team 6-point teaser of the week would be?
Okay, and look, usually I'm a big fan of the Wong teasers, even though the numbers aren't as key as they used to be with the different rules and, the extra points where they are and teams going for 2 a little bit more. So this one isn't totally Wong on the first leg, but I'm going to tease the Houston Texans up through the 7 and up to 9 in what looks like it might be a low-scoring game. 40.5 we're seeing in the total in the market. 41 usually, historically, a key number on the total. So I do believe in Seattle, but I think this Houston defense is still pretty solid. Can they figure it out offensively, though? And they have had a bye week. And the teams, by the way, that had the more rest, whether they were off a bye or they were the more rested team last week, they went 6-2. Just a little scheduling quirks there, and Houston has had a bye week. So I think Seattle wins, but I think that this is probably a 1-possession game. So Houston up to 9. And then what else do I want to go ahead and put with this? You know what? Let's put I don't want to tease Green Bay because I don't know if Kyler Murray is going to play, by the way. So if you want to get in early, maybe you use Green Bay down to a half. So let's go Houston plus 9 and the Miami Dolphins plus 8.5, and what is projected to be a low scoring game, 39.5 on the total. We'll see if the Dolphins respond to Tua calling them out in the media. I don't know if they will because they seem pretty checked out, but that's a big number, 8.5 for Cleveland to lay on a teaser.
Dottie.
I want to do a mea culpa. Last week I said that it was a very short flight from London down to Pittsburgh International, and it wouldn't affect the Brownies. But Wes is making a great point. All the resting teams did make a big difference, so I mea culpa on that. I'm going to go on my teaser with the Broncos down to, what do you see them at 7? So they're down to 1. I just think that, Jackson Dart and Scattaboo can take their clothes off on TV all they want, and they got so many muscles, and they're so great. Guys, slow your roll. You're still the New York Giants. You're still a moribund franchise. You're not going into Denver with that vaunted front 4. I believe the New York Jets got negative first downs against the Broncos last week in England. I don't see how they're going to move the ball enough to win that game. So give me the Broncos -1 at home in my 1 leg, and I'm going to take the Falcons up to 8 and 8.5, right? So I'll take the Falcons up to 8.5 because of much of what Gilly said on his Falcons pick. I just like this Falcons team, the sneaky defense, the Bijan, the Drake London. I just don't see the Niners. They might beat them. I don't know that they're beating them by 8.5. So I just think that seems a little bit far-fetched.
What do we have
Todd,
for Jets Panthers?
Todd, do you think you're going to be as flippant about DVOA when Aaron is here next week as you are this week?
No way.
You think
No chance.
Here's the thing. I can be flippant with a person who's willing to be able to be a little less serious about himself.
To accept your flippance, right?
Maybe I'll have a little conversation, a loving conversation with peace and love, I will say to Aaron, hey, Aaron, you can turn that frown upside down, baby. I'm sure you're having a better life than me, and I smile every once in a while. So come on, Aaron, you can do it, baby.
There's my answer. A qualified yes. Will, what was your question, Will?
What do you guys have for Jets Panthers?
Panthers 1.5 pretty much is the consensus, even though it's kind of all over the place.
I'm gonna go Jets Dolphins. I think Aaron Glenn, if he doesn't have a clause in his contract that he has to cover teaser at home against the Panthers, he should have one. You got to be able to stay within 7.5 of Carolina. So give me the Jets and give me the Dolphins 7.5 and 8.5. I know we're running a little long here, but I was wondering this watching the game. I'm curious what you guys think. Is Bryce Young good? Is he bad? Is he okay? Because I'll watch him, and with the span of an hour, I think all three. I have no idea what to
Such a great
make
point.
of Bryce Young.
Yeah.
At home against the Cowboys-like defense, he can be something. On the road,
I'm going. By the way, Will, did you find the second coach to be fired market? Is that what?
No, man. They can keep them all, fire them all. I don't care. We're all good. All these guys that were on the hot seat that I've been defending on Twitter. You can't fire Mike McDaniel. His team is playing hard. This guy, that guy. You know what?
That's right.
Do whatever you want.
What about Aaron Boone? Would you take Aaron Boone as next?
Aaron Boone has a lifetime contract. That's not even worth discussing.
Look, he just becomes so bitter when you talk about the Yankees. All right, I'm going Falcons, which is a Wong leg, but I'm going to have to pair with a non-Wonger, I think. And I think I'm going to do the Bengals tomorrow night.
Up
Bengals.
to 11.5?
Yeah.
You get that all-important 11. That 11 is a much bigger number than people realize lately. I'm not even kidding around about that. That 8.5 and 11.5, those are key numbers.
Yeah. All right, Todd, this segment has died because we don't have enough of these available. We certainly don't have enough of these available on Wednesday, but you have a prop that you're looking at or thinking about?
You can't do it this
can't
early.
Do it, right?
Although we loved Boswell last week, and I even said
Boswell
to you,
over 1.5
said to you, if there was ever a Boswell week to be Boswell, it was against the Browns' good defense. There's going to be kicks. And guess what? So I go down, it's minus 180. And I said, I can't play him minus 180. That's just too much. So I didn't play him. He literally had 2 field goals before the game started. It was unbelievable.
Before the game started even, yeah. All right, final 2 questions of each and every Megapod. Last 2 questions of each and every Megapod. Which of the big favorites, in your opinion, is the most likely to lose outright? Here are your candidates. The choices are the Chiefs, 11.5-point favorites hosting the Raiders. This is to lose outright. Patriots, 7-point favorites at the Titans. The Broncos, 7-point favorites hosting the New York Giants. The Packers, 6.5-point favorites at the Arizona Cardinals. Those are your 4 choices. You don't get to pick any of the 5.5-point favorites to make it easy. What do you think, Wes, of those 4? I come to you from the future and I said, one of those teams lost outright. Who is it?
I am going to say, I would say Arizona or Green Bay if I knew Murray was playing, but I don't know that he is. So I'm going to say the Denver Broncos. You go to Philadelphia and you win, and then you have to make the trip to London. That's a lot of travel to go back home game against a downtrodden team. This kind of seems like it could be a little bit of a flat spot. So it would not surprise me necessarily to see the G-Men, because the G-Men have 1, 2, or 3, and they do have the rest advantage, of course, playing Thursday night in the win over Philadelphia. So I think the Broncos of the big favorites might be on upset alert.
Dottie?
I'm going to go with the New England Patriots due to the fact that the Titans are now playing with a new coach. I feel like you're going to get everything the Titans have this week if they ever were going to win a big game. I'm going to say the Pats could theoretically lose to the Titans. I know it's a big Vrabel back to Tennessee situation, but I don't know. I just think the Pats could theoretically lose. And Wes is 10-1 a good bet on the Indiana to win the championship.
Yes.
I think it might be. They're going to be favored in each of their last 6 games going into potentially the Big Ten title game. Penn State, even with the new coach and the new quarterback, essentially a Drew Aller out, could be dangerous in State College, but why not Indiana, as my buddy Jake Query, who hosts radio there in Indianapolis, would say. Why not Indiana? This is the new normal now, and everybody just has to accept it.
I love it. No longer a basketball school. I bet 10-1 this week, Todd. I think it's a great bet. Will, which are the big favorites?
Yeah, I'll go Patriots too. I could just see it being typical NFL where everyone is, to use your word, Gilly, slurping the Patriots for a week, and they come out and they just, you see the red zone. Oh, wow, they're down 10-0 to the Titans already. What happened? Drake May fumbled and things like that. So I'll go Patriots. And I don't buy this idea. You hinted at it, Todd, that, it's a Vrabel revenge spot. Vrabel wants to win every game. These coaches want to win every game. So I don't know. A coach revenge spot, I think, is kind of a weak angle. Since we were talking throwback jerseys before, why can't the Titans? It's a lost season. Why don't they just have a throwback coach? Why not throw Jeff Fisher in there for the rest of the season or something?
Throwback coach. Do you remember when the Titans wore the Houston Oilers throwbacks against the Texans?
Yes,
that was brutal. What were they doing?
I'm with the
Patriots. I'm with the Patriots too. I'm with the Patriots just because dead cat bounce. Let's go. I don't really feel great about it, but of the four choices, that's what I would take. All right, last question, Wes. We live in a bizarro world. You have to play a side on every one of these games, but you get one free pass. One game you want no part of, that game would be?
That game would be the Commanders and the Cowboys now. Commanders laying 1.5, 2 on the road. We talked on a numbers game before the season, Gil. I know the Commanders are your team, but I was a little bit low on them because of the close game, because they got fortunate in a lot of close games, and we saw they got unfortunate on Monday night against the Bears. And then plus Dallas, the offense is good. Dak has been terrific, actually, this year, even though this team's 2-3-1. He's been great. But the defense, that secondary couldn't cover us four, I don't think, at wide receiver. So high-scoring game, a lot of things can happen, a lot of weird things can happen, and certainly have already in Cowboy games. That game against the Giants in overtime, that 40-40 tie that we had on Sunday night against Green Bay. I don't know. That is a total coin flip to me. So Commanders Cowboys for me is the stay away.
It's a good choice. Toddy?
I was looking at the same thing. I would also like to say if 10-point teaser, Raiders plus 22 is definitely a good leg. Raiders plus 22. I'm just kidding.
That is very Chris Sanook of you. He loves those 3-team 10-pointers.
But no, I agree with Wes. I just don't know whose defense is going to suck worse against whose offense. And with the Cowboys, there's so much variance. They can lose to the Panthers. They can crush the Jets. They can look great. They can look bad. They can look good. CeeDee Lamb can drop the ball. He can be injured. He's not injured. Yes, no. Pickens is screaming, blah, blah. I don't want it.
Well,
Dolphins, Brown. No, you know what? Dolphins, Browns, I was going to think, but I think you're going to say that one, Gil. I heard you talk about that in numbers game. I'll say Raiders, Chiefs. Chiefs play with their food a lot. I could see that being 35-14. I could see that being tied at the half. I don't want to lay that number with the Chiefs.
Raiders are covering.
Take it with the Raiders.
Willie, you smell it. Raiders are going to cover that game. I smell it too. It smells like that game that me and Gilly watched at the Caesar Sportsbook when the Raiders covered. They beat the Chiefs, right? With no first downs or something.
On Christmas 2 years ago. Then the Chiefs never lost again, I don't think.
And the Chiefs never lost. We're like, can you imagine someone coming up to you that game and being like, the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl? We'd have been like, what? It is, for me, Will called it. It's the Dolphins and the Browns. No outcome in that game would surprise me. Browns blow them out. Dolphins blow them out. Close game either way. Nothing would surprise me. I want no part of that game. Gentlemen, I'm running low on the computer, so we got to wrap this up. Wes Reynolds. At one Wes Reynolds on Twitter, yes?
At Wes Reynolds 1 on the X.
Wes Reynolds 1.
At Hoosier West 77 on the IG. I'm trying to learn how to do the Instagram a little bit more because I finally figured out how to post pictures. That's how behind I am on the Instagram. So might see some photos up at the Indiana win over Oregon on Saturday.
I like it. What's your Instagram again? What is it again?
Hoosier West 77.
Hoosier West 77. Will Hill at Not the Will Hill. Should have bet more is the name of the podcast. Todd Wishnev. Todd, you signing up people on Twitter?
Yeah, at T Wishnev. If you want to be in the WhatsApp in-game group, it was going fantabulously well. I was up about 18 bets after the first couple of weeks, and now I have given it all back in an endless torrent of bad beats, including last night's third quarter under. Will can back me up, or Jared
I don't want
Goff.
to talk about it. It's too
Willie,
soon.
how about
I don't want to
Jared
talk about
Goff? We have attempts on Jared Goff.
Oh.
We need like 3 more. It's 2nd and 1, and they can't get the first down, and we lose the attempts. It's just been a torrential downpour of DeMarcado nonsense for the last couple weeks. So hopefully it turns around. If you want to be on the group, DM me your phone number and put WhatsApp on your phone, and hopefully we can turn it around.
Rate, review, and subscribe. I keep forgetting to say that. I never have, but in the 15-year anniversary of the podcast, this is the first year I've ever said it. Rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you for listening. Good luck with all your bets. Week 7 in the National Football League.